This one is a 1 versus 1 ladder game, however, and it's going to go down on a map we have seen before. It's pretty well known. It is Bermuda Locket. And well, we know Bermuda Locket, and we know how this runs. There is a reclaim all over the place. 67,000 reclaim to be had, so much that some people start and they don't even bother building mixes right away. They live off the reclaim for ages. Let's have an introduction of the players. Up the top here in the blue corner, going Seraphim, it is laissez-faire. I'm pretty sure it's laissez-faire. Somebody mentioned on one of my other videos that was how it's pronounced. Anyway, laissez-faire is Seraphim. He's opening up his first faction. You can see there he has a whole bunch of PGs lined up. And you'll see engineers come off and they will just grab the reclaim, because right by the start of his base, in the general area, there's like thousands of reclaim to be had. Don't even need to bother building mixes. Anyway, his opponent today, down here in the red corner, it is Xerxes Grand Noob. And Xerxes Noob is in the red color. So, very even match, very high rated match. We have 1700 for the both of them. And we have Bermuda Locket. So, Bermuda Locket, you can't ignore Navy. Like, you just can't. This inner area, if your opponent gets a Navy lockdown in here in this inside region, it is devastating, because units can just destroy so much. The land is narrow, the Navy is important, but you virtually never see anyone go outside Navy. It's always the inside. Even though technically they can still shoot the same amount of things, the inside Navy is pretty much one always fought over. Air is rapidly important as well. Like, you need to try and get the reclaim for your opponents to try and get some territory. You'll see transports going out full of engineers going here, there and everywhere. You might see some transports with units trying to sneak around the back outside and drop onto the edges behind here, where they can, like, you know, maybe some T1 RD can lob their shells over. Even up here you could pop down a few units, maybe not T1 RD though. I don't think those would quite reach. You might want to consider dropping some T2 mobile missile launchers actually. That might be traversable for units to get on up. I think that's traversable. So I think units can actually just wander their way up here. Just go up as they do. Anyway, expansions are coming on out. And you can see right here, laissez-faire. Nothing but power. And transport coming along the way. And he is surviving off reclaim. Yeah. One mason gun. But he's got this engineer just pulling in the mass. Just like that. And he still hasn't actually built a mass extractor. It is coming up 3 minutes in the game. And his first mass extractor is going to be built. Still not yet. I think it's next maybe? I think it's next. There we go. Finally, the 3-minute mark, laissez-faire builds a mass extractor. He has been surviving off reclaim that entire time. We have that to his opponent down here, and Xerxes has built 3 of them. They're in a starting base, so why not? But you'll see although there's an income disparity, total mass is in favor of laissez-faire because he has been using that reclaim a whole lot. So yeah, reclaim is massive on this map to get. Right, we mentioned drops, and here's the first one. This is a transport out for Xerxes Noob, and he is getting some engines out to try and claim the side region. Because remember, for all the mass that's around your starting area, with more mass on each of the other points, it can be a 4 versus 4 map. You can split it along the diagonal and have 4 here against 4 there. You can go really mad and go like horizontal and have 4 here, or you can make it just 2v2. Have 2 guys on each point there. So it's a flexible map as far as that goes. And it can be quite useful. Alright, this transport has made its way down here. This engineer has survived. It's trying to slap down a factory. It has got incoming though. There's a combat scout and a THAM on the way. 3 engineers slapped down here. Transport is quite nice and handy. And they get to work straight away on a mass extractor and a bunch of factories. They're going to need the factories. Oh, has that scout missed all of this? It has. This THAM is going to roll on past and not get a thing done. The factory is going up really quickly compared to that factory, which is going up kind of slowly. But even though this unit is going to get on past, it's not going to... I think it's going to get there in time actually. The Selene's going to get there in time anyway. That engineer is not long for this world, but they have not stopped these guys. Factory is up, Mantis are on the way, and it won't take much. Actually, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. Is he going to? That does finish factory. Engineer finishes the factory, which is an absolute bonus. Can start rolling units off this to try and assist. Can send units down from these. In fact, there's a Mantis up there which could be redirected, coming off the assembly line, and maybe he wants to. Maybe he wants to. Drops over this way though. This is engineers out from laissez-faire. He's dropped 4 on the top section. He's not wanting to risk this kind of thing happening to his units. But this factory is trying to pop out a couple of Mantis. Should be enough, he reckons. See, there's queued up 2 Mantis and 20 engineers. Thinks the 2 Mantis should be enough. Maybe he wants to think about sending some more down. Hello, it's a drop. Is he actually going to drop more engineers into this bloodbath? Is he actually going to plonk them down? He is, and is he paying attention? Is that instantly a reclaim? No, it's not. They're just going to sit there as the reclaim order, and the Tham is dead. There is a Mantis out as well that's going to swoop on around. It's going to kill off the Selene, which is merrily throwing things, though the engineer now moves range of the Selene. Terrible idea. Get your Mantis over there. See one bomber. I see the shadow. I see the bomber. And there goes the bomb, and here goes the engineer. Mantis takes a massive battering too out of that. Ow. Transport getting caught by some interceptors. That's the last drop this one's going to do. Gets popped out of the sky. Is going to go sink into the water and swim with the fishies. Now the engineer down there wants to maybe switch up to, there we go, Sky Slammers. So Xerxes is well paying attention to what's going on there. Switching out to the Sky Slammers. Okay. But the bomber switches up to the factory, wanting to stop those from getting out. Question is, can it? Each bomb that lands resets the progress on the thing being built, but that completes, it will take some damage, but it is off the assembly line. The shots are coming out, and the bomber may not survive another pass. Especially if it keeps bombing the factory like that. Stops the second one coming along, but the shots from the Sky Slammer is good. Swings around at a very poor time, and the bomber is done. There's going to be another Sky Slammer get out of there. So, survival of the single factory. Massive plant over this way though. We have a huge factory line planned out from these engineers, and they are starting to spam out units like no tomorrow. Some defending units up here from laissez-faire, but not enough to slow these guys down. Laissez-faire on the other hand is being a bit slower to grab his expansions over this way. Nothing on the bottom edge of the causeway yet, but he does have a significant amount of naval factory. He's finishing off his 6th one just at this moment, whilst over here Xerxes is he's close to finishing his 4th. So laissez-faire is very much ahead in the navy game. Many more factories, and now is when things start to even up. So laissez-faire is ahead, and you go by the look of it. He has 64 income. He's had about 15,000 reclaim. Xerxes is on, well, that might be power stall, so I can't get a good read, but he's definitely lower on the reclaim. 10,000 reclaim compared to 15,000, and I think it's a stable 60-ish mass. Can't tell because he's power stalling like a little bitch. Okay, first unit out from Xerxes, and it's a frigate. Actually, I think there was a sub, but that sub died to 3 other subs, and now the frigate's going to die the same. So unfortunately, when the water is full of submarines, frigates do basically nothing. There isn't a single frigate that has torpedoes. They cannot answer to this kind of attack. All they can do is run away and die a slow death. So subs are the order of the day from here. See how that goes. A couple of frigates have started coming out from laissez-faire. They're going to mix into that, but the subs have done a good number at the start, early game, being able to deny that. But the holy mother of bloody naval factories. 6, 7, 8, 9, 15 naval factories planned for Xerxes. We'll have to see if those actually complete. We have 8 up here, and yep, there's the first major ground battle. That is Xerxes pushing into a bigger force from laissez-faire. No, not bigger, just more organized. These guys are nice solid front as opposed to like units dribbling in, and they probably spank the ground with those, and Xerxes falls back over the side. We can see now the frigates plus the Submarines are in play, and it's time for them to try and start killing stuff, although now we have torpedo launchers. Torpedo launchers are very, very effective against subs. Not very effective against frigates, but they're pretty darn good against subs. They have a good amount of health compared to what the submarines have. They do a decent amount of damage, and they can kill them off pretty darn quickly. Let's have a look at that. One cell goes down into the red. Still, there's a lot of damage coming back on the other direction. Units are out and being restricted to just the 6 factories in the mix here, but the torpedo launchers are going to make the difference in this round. Chunk, chunk, chunk. They are going for these submarines first and trying to get away, but maybe a little too late. Loses a few units to those, and off he goes. This attack on the top, though, this is a lot of units coming in from Xerxes. They have pushed this force back. The radar goes down. Now they've got not much idea how much is left. Some T1 bombers were loitering, going to try and thin out the numbers a bit. They can drop some bombs in. They can kill off a bunch of units. Could be well on good. Everything they kill is less for the ground to deal with. There is a T2 engineer trying to throw down a point defense. That needs some time, but here we go. Ilshevers. So T2 on the ground from Laissez-faire, and his Ilshevers facing up against this T1 spam. Of course, the Ilshevers are supported by T1 units as well, and it's going to be a nasty little thing for these guys to try and push now, especially if that T2PD gets completed. Right, on the left hand side, same thing going on here, although it was T1, just T1, and a much smaller force of Laissez-faire is getting pushed back by this. So it looks like Laissez-faire has branched out a bit. He has got air factories, he has got T2 land. So he's going for a bit of tech, he's going for a bit of air. Compare that. Ooh, he's actually going T2 Navy as well. I just saw that as I hovered over. T2 Navy is being planned out of that. Do we have T2 Navy? No, we do not. It's all T1 for Xerxes. Does he have any tech on the ground at all? Factories? The answer is no. He doesn't. This is all T1. He's got into the air game, so he's getting some interceptors out, but my word, this is all T1. No tech planned yet. And even as I say that, he starts upgrading a naval factory. So tech from Navy. There you go. Tech from Navy. Okay, push on the left hand side has gone spectacularly well. These units have managed to go right up to the edge of this causeway into the small plateauish area. Although now they're finally facing some really stiff opposition. These dams are pushing these mantis back. Got to be careful though. A very large force is lying in wait to join the battle. Right hand side, massive amount of T1 units here from Xerxes sitting on the ground. There are some T1 bombs coming in. They're going to run into Sky Slammers first. The problem is the Sky Slammers have very slow projectiles, so by the time they get their shots away, the bombers have absolutely already dropped their payload and are done. The damage is done. Look at this. Bonk. 5 kills. It dies, but it got 5 kills. And now they're running into Ilshevers, and that's just never a good frame. Never a good thing. Dribbling in bit by bit to a wall of Ilshevers, these T1 units are going to have a terrible time of it. That is not how you attack. You want to attack in a blob. Units just streaming in bit by bit get absolutely murdified. Okay, checking out the midsection, that's a lot of frigates out from Laissez-faire. Not as many from Xerxes. Is that T2? Yes, indeed. So T2 is done for Laissez-faire, and that is a cruiser, I think. I think he's going to start with a cruiser spam, and why not? Those tech missiles will be absolutely devastating to all sorts of places. T2 is on the way for Xerxes. He's a little bit behind on that. 76% upgrade, needs to get into the naval game in a big way. That tech on the right hand side, that has absolutely turned the tide of this battle. Ilshevers really doing a number on anything that comes in range. Lots of factories, lots of spam. Not much to stop that. Radar going up. You could do radar. Radar would be handy. Back in this direction. Do we have any kind of air tech plans? Nope, still just sticking with the T1, although he has a lot in that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 T1. No, that's land. Sorry. There we go. 5 air factories for Laissez-faire. We have 4 planned out for Xerxes. This one looks like it's just been built, so it has the template under it. Just spamming out interceptors, not even bothering about bombers. Just inties and T1 spam on the land all the way. Still no tech. on the ground. This is all T1. What's I'm doing on that front. Okay, left hand side. This is a massive push in again from Xerxes. He wants to gain some territory and he has the units to do it. Laissez-faire does not have enough to push him back, although tech is on the way. On the right hand side, and once again, Xerxes is being pushed back, but there's the cruiser. Take missiles, just firing at whatever, but there's so many units that even though it misses what it's aiming for, something else just strolls into the path of fire. So it's getting some free kills basically. The missiles that were aiming at other stuff. So much spam. So much death and destruction. Okay. Navy is pushing on up. This is Xerxes. He's like, no cruisers. Cruisers not allowed. But he's pushing with a bit by bit force. Instead of a consolidated front. And we see the kind of thing happen again. We see units coming in drips and drabs and they get absolutely munted by a solid front. And that is actually going to be a Navy win for Laissez-faire, and he's going to be able to revel in that. Over on the left hand side, pushing out once again Ilshevers, but once again helping to hold this front. Some T1 PD is thrown on up, and that is going to also shoot these lots away. And these T2 engines can actually now think about popping in here and setting up a kill zone perhaps, if they can get some T2 PD. The problem is the ground, and the T2 PD, as we know, is absolutely terrible for shooting the ground when it wants to shoot a unit. Buck the ground, we say. Okay, what is going on here? Bad times is what's going on here. Ilshevers are holding the line, but they are supported by a cruiser. More Ilshevers coming on in, and some Zuis. Gonna presume that was maybe a formation move issue, where they don't know quite where they're going, but they've made it. We're gonna reach the battle, it's gonna be a bit late, but ooh, that's a pain. Lost a bunch of units just there. And now the Zuis roll into range. Start lobbing some shells over, but maybe a bit too close because this Mantis objects quite highly to what that Zui is doing. Right then, we did have T2 naval, yes we do, and Salem's are now rocking off the production line. Does he have any out in the water already? No, he doesn't. That's all just T1. Actually, I take that back. A single Salem. And that is going to be a problem if you don't have your own destroyers to slow them down. And the answer, he does have one destroyer, but it may be tricky to try and take care of. Left hand side, and this is another push coming in from Xerxes. Mantis cannot reclaim. Mantis don't reclaim. You might be getting confused with Harbingers. Harbingers are the only unit reclaim. What Mantis can do is they actually have build power. They can actually have a small engineering suite, so you'll see them assist with building things or assist a commander upgrade or things like that. But the Mantis itself, it cannot reclaim. It doesn't have a full engineering suite. And here we go. A split order. It's just like rock spun right back. I just want to show this. So Laissez-faire, he has picked a bunch of targets, like he's grabbed this group of bombers, he's right clicked on a bunch of individual targets, and then he's used the Shift G command, which then causes these bombers to spread their attack. So they're attacking individual targets instead of all the same one at the same time. And this is a really effective tactic for taking out groups of enemies. You have them spread their bombs and they can do so much damage like that. They can wipe out instead of all attacking the same one. And just have a look at how this works. They come in, they drop their bombs off all over the place and thin out their numbers or what? A huge chunk of that force is gone. And then they can come back around for more passes. It is really how you want to use groups of bombers against groups of forces. Spread the bomb attacks out, kill bunches of different things, and it just thins out the numbers gratuitously. That was a massive force a moment ago. Now it's just nothing. Now it's fallen back in the face of Ilshevers. Dramatic deaths there. Okay, in the middle, the Navy is fighting is in place. Destroyer having to go against frigates, but Destroyer having faced up against two destroyers. Just one of them, which is going to have a bad time. Air fight over this direction as Laissez-faire actually taken the air game. The interceptors were sent out by Xerxes to try and kill the bombers off, but they have not done that job. It's dead, I think maybe mostly to anti-air on the ground, but the interceptors are very strong in number for laissez-faire. He owns the skies for the moment. He could start rocking out some more bombs if he wants. And tech. Yinzins, the hover tanks for the Seraphim, they are making their way around the outside. Got some Zoes in support. I think this is a ploy to send them right around the back. Oh, and there's been a drop. Well, isn't that just rude? Zoes have been dropped down by laissez-faire into the back of Xerxes' base. T1 bomber comes in, deals some damage down. There is a T1 PD trying to get as much done as possible, but the T1 bombers should be able to finish off the job. But that's a load of damage. 1, 2, 3 mixes down, 3 factories, a bunch of power. Something that Xerxes can ill afford to have lost. 1 RT left, 7 kills, 700 mass destroyed. And I don't think he's going to be able to get that. Should be another bomber run coming through in a second. But that was a nasty little drop. There's the air transport actually all the way down there. Even while that's going on though, up on this side we can see the Ushva push in has been very ill-timed. This has been swarmed by those units. They've taken off. The Navy in the middle, that's not looking great either. There are some extra destroyers in the mix now for laissez-faire, and they can hold the line a bit better, but it is Cyprin. Surprisingly, he has no stealth in the middle of that. And now, Destroyer has been primaried and mowed down. And it is now Xerxes' turn to fall back in the face of odds against many destroyers in the mix. Right hand side, those... why are the Yinzins up there? I thought they were going down that way. They're going down that way. Extra Yinzins? Not sure where those ones came from, but they're here. They're trying to keep things up. Keep it up. Okay. And there we go. This has been a semi route for laissez-faire. Still got destroyers in the mix in this. There's one destroyer, but there's a lot of that, and the cruiser back here. Probably more destroyers going to come off the production line any second now, but this is good pressure from laissez-faire. He's pushing back on the left causeway. He's pushed back in the Navy though. He's lost... actually, he's just gone and lost all of his destroyers to a giant band of frigates and some other destroyers around the back here. He's now going to have to pull on back. He's got a cruiser still lobbing the shells up this way, doing some damage. Ilship is holding the line. Lots of good back and forth there. But, as of now, say hello to Yinzins in the base. And they are starting to do extra damage. This is going to be irritating if you're Xerxes. Getting attacked from left, right, centre and behind. And now what are these guys doing? Well, they should focus down the eco. That'd be the best thing to do. But they have now been spotted and they are now under attack. Taking the damage from these little mantis. They just move around the place. They can start mowing down some eco perhaps. Indeed. T1 bomber. T1 bombers have exception to what's going on here. T1 engineer beats Zui. Not a good plan for that. And what's going on down this direction? Well, we have had 1, 2 more mass extractors go down, and the Yinzins could maybe focus down a third, depending on how much damage they have left in them. Well, not a lot, because they're being hounded by Mantis and T1 bombers. Not a grand time, but lost another one there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. T2 mixers have been knocked out. Could be another one, actually. Yeah. There's enough firepower in the air to kill this off as well. Yes, there is. Another mass extractor down, so not great for Xerxes. He's going to be most unhappy about that. He has got territory, he has got units, but he has got problems. Bombers loitering around for laissez-faire up here again. They can be called into action maybe against this giant blob of blobbiness. They do like to kill things in large clumps. Engineers doing engineering things. I guess they're going for a reclaim mission. Certainly didn't have fun with that, running into a bunch of sky slammers. But there's still going on. More posturing in the pond. Now we have mermaids out for Xerxes. And we know what mermaids do. Mermaids are this most annoying thing. Here we go. More T1 bombers, more shift genus, more split fire, and just taken out so many units at once. Look at all the death and destruction those things caused. Why can't I see the reclaim? Anyway, they come back around for another pass. More doom. Very very effective usefulness of T1 bombers against groups of T1 units. Lovely. Pain. And speaking of pain, now pushing up the middle is Xerxes. He wants to take that middle area and claim it as his own, which is doing pretty well. Pushing on the left hand side again, wants to try and make some ground up on there, but running into some T2 units. Very ill-advised. Ilshaba deciding to run away from his friends. He's going to take a lot of punishment, but he will die from all of the Mantis. Health is looking low. Counter push on the left, being pushed up in the middle. A little bit of a counter push coming down there. More stuff going on the right side as well. So Laissez-faire looks to be holding his ground and making a bit more on the left thanks to the tech on the ground. The T2 is really paying off on the ground, and it's really just the T1 spam trying to hold as long as it can against all of it. But the Navy is where all the action's at right now. There, as mentioned, there is the Mermaid in the mix, which hides all this from any kind of sonar or radar. He has to get visuals on these units to actually shoot at them. This is where you get like T1 scouts flying overhead, or you send in your sacrificial frigates just to get eyes on something to shoot at. You can do that, you'll be well off, but he's got no idea the size of the force he's pushing into. Kinda has to know anything. This is where scouts are great. You can see exactly what the heck is going on. Right. Torpedo bombers. Here we go. That's a great answer to Navy you can't see. And hello, actually, that's T3. We have a T3 Pigeon, some T3 engineers out, so Laissez-faire has actually made the transition to T3 air. And you can spam out torpedo bombers out of that T3 HQ really quickly, and that's going to do a massive amount of damage there. And hello, strats! Oh, do they not know that Xerxes was right there? No, they don't, because he's actually got stealth. They can't actually see him on radar, and these things are going to start wreaking havoc. Look at the micro on those, actually firing at different mass extractors at the same time. What a grand old time. Great day. Question is, what can they go for now? They're going to turn around, they're going to run afoul of this wing of Inties. Well, they may just well. This one is going to get hammered. Going to stay alive just for the moment. They need to start flying in a straight line. There is a T2 HQ that wants to be introduced to a couple of bombs, but that's a cruiser, and that's going to do some excellent damage against those. Ooh, don't really want to stop there. That is taking a bunch of damage and it's finally going to go down in the water. Yes, it does. Some nice long range from the cruiser. Picks that off. It did do us some damage though. Took out some factories, took out some mass extractors. All delayed, but in the water at the other end. This is not great for Laissez-faire. Xerxes had pushed right on up with all of his units and completely eradicated all Navy belonging to Laissez-faire. Won't be long before this HQ's down either. I imagine it's going to get primaried any second now. There are the torpedo bombers around, of course, and they're going to start murdering what they can. You see these destroyers are getting turned into scrap. It wants to keep the destroyers in the water, because if they're on land, I get hit by those guys. But the HQ is down into the red, under 2,000, and that is going to be Laissez-faire out of the T2 Navy game for quite a while, because he's not going to be able to rebuild with units in the middle of his base. Not great. Over on this side, we see some Ilshibas are doing a retreating action against some T1 units, wanting to keep them just out of range. There is a T2 PD, but the T2 PD is playing fuck the ground. Might as well shoot the ground, ain't got nothing else to aim for. It's unfortunate positioning there, maybe wants to be a bit further forward where the ground is flat and get some work done instead of that going on. But here we have it. Navy in your bay is not what you need. Got to kill off the destroyers. They've got the most range, they will do the most damage, and indeed that is exactly what's happened. Still not great. They have more on the way. So that is a solid inside Navy win for Laissez-faire. Sorry, win for Xerxes. Laissez-faire has problems. He's having to do the desperation torpedo bombs to take care of, but he's got nothing else to hit them with. They have to go for what they can see, and maybe they can take out the Mermaid would be best. Then his radar is actually going to work, and he'll be able to see things. So these will now all show up in radar, but problems on the ground now. We have units clumping up here from Xerxes. They are ready to push on over. We have units on the left hand side pushing in as well. Again, dropping back, just trying to not get caught out. It has been a good play. I'd say it's reasonably half and half, though I think Xerxes has the more ground of the stage. He's got more units in the pond, obviously. He's halfway up this causeway, contest pushed back. Halfway up this causeway, contest and pushed back. So he owns more than 50% of the map, but he is behind in eco. Let's just have a quick look. We have 125 Xerxes. That looks pretty stable compared to the 134 for, and he's topped out on mass. Really wants to see that. Get some storage up or something. Holy heck, why have we not got storage around these? I'm so confused. Anyway, power is his issue because he's building strat bombers. Why not? But overall, it is going more pushing over this direction, and this is a bunch of Zoomies called out. Look like they were going to do try and do some snipey action, just wanted to kill off some units at range, but Xerxes took exception to this and moved his units up to kill them. In this direction, these 4 mixes have been destroyed. I think they're only T1, so yep, T1 mixes. They hadn't been upgraded or anything. They were kind of exposed. You don't want to do anything with those. Down this direction, another couple of mixes are going to have some problems. Destroyers have moved into range, lobbing their shells on over, and their factory is going to go poppity pop very shortly. There we go, some Yenzines going to try and cover this. There's going to be a push to upgrade that to T2 perhaps, or one of them. So Laissez-faire is using this particular distraction right here to get himself back into the naval game, and more. Bombers out with their ship genius, destroying giant swaths of enemies. Why not? They're there. You might as well pull them all off. Groups, damage, death, whatever. Throw your bombs left, right, center, all around the place, and just deny massive clumps of units. Surprise bombers. Everything dies. Okay. Rat going around the edge again. Looks like he's going to maybe have a hunt for some more units to kill. In the meantime, he's very happy in the water out the back. Not too surprising. Those scouts should be able to see him though, if they are passing close enough. No, they are not. And they have got sonar, but they have to fly a lot closer than what they're doing right now to discover where the commander is. This is actually the first time Xerxes has scouted Laissez-faire's side of the island. 30 minutes in, and the first scouts are going over here. It's a long time, Xerxes. It's a long time. Having said that, he's very much in command of things right here. Navy is doing exactly as Navy does. This is why you cannot afford to lose the mid-Navy. This happens. Your enemy's naval blob rotates through the pond and just starts destroying things all over the place. Mixers, factories, anything they can reach will get decimated. Back in here we have T1 factories have been built up, trying to start up some kind of naval spam again. Maybe they can get that underway. Power underway for Laissez-faire. And is that more T3 air factories, or is it just some more T1s? I may hear Strat somewhere back down this direction, and is looked like to kill off the power. So it did not like Xerxes having any power, so the Strat decided to take care of that, but he has a large number of T1 PGs. Obviously his power's not looking that great, and he's stalling now, stalling hard. Stalling ain't great. Torpedo bombers doing the nice split bomb on 3 destroyers, and 1, 2, not quite 3 down. But they will circle back for another run, and I don't think it's going to survive this one. There's another destroyer right there. Oh dear. Some good split work there, killing off the main threat, which is the destroyers. They are the ones that have the range to do all the damage. Some cruisers back over here, which could do with a bonkin. And exactly what happens. Some more torpedoes rock into that, and that is down. So this is mostly T1 now in the water for Xerxes. So these torpedo bombers have come out en masse and just decimated the majority of the T2 of Xerxes' naval, which really needed to do because they had the range. There has been another cruiser, another destroyer coming on out, but I think these torpedo bombs are just doing a free-for-all basically. They're just going for whatever they can right now, dropping down damage left, right, center, killing off frigates. Might as well do something because worthy. More air coming over this way, so Laissez-faire has been very effective in the air at the moment. He has been, oh, so many big clumps just begging for bombs. Look at this. Destruction and devastation. And then they come back round for another run. More bombs going to drop. More units going to die. More damage. Look at crunch there. Splat there. Kabook there. Blammo. These bombers are getting all the work done. That was such a massive force a moment ago. But they have done exceptionally well in unit destruction. I'm just astounded. T1 bombers have done a job. On the left hand side though, a big push coming in from Xerxes once again. T2C Urchivers are trying to fall back in the wave of Mantis Mayhem. Don't think they're going to manage to escape quite so well, although again, coming in drips and drabs instead of a clump, although the T1 spam has gotten ridiculous over here. They are actually getting stuck on each other. They can't move effectively because there's too many of them. This might attribute to why they're having so many problems. T1 spam is good on nice open areas. This kind of thing happening, lets this kind of thing happen. Coming in one by one and drips and drabs, not good for your health. Coming in a giant clump, great for your health. So this is very much helping Laissez-faire at this moment. They're coming in nice and easily. Very much easier to try and slow down. Navy. Let's have a hello to Navy. That's a lot of Yenzings. So Laissez-faire is determined to get back into the Navy game, and he is now trying to do all that. A couple of cheeky Zuis came up the side here by the look. They got in turn obliterated by some reducers. I'm having a good time there. Right, which one of these is going T2? Apparently none of them. It's all T1. And it is all with Navy right on his doorstep. He knows it's there. He's got the radar. He knows exactly what he's facing, and maybe he's just wanting to hold? Perhaps. Perhaps he's just wanting to hold. Does he have a game plan? He has a bunch of torpedo bombers. He has 3 T3 air factories, so his production can go through the roof on that. And he's very much ahead on the eco game as well. Still, despite having lost the map control and only... well, maybe not so much actually. He's still got the 2 main sides, so he's running off that. He's got 200 eco by the look of it, compared to the 155 for Xerxes. So Xerxes has map control, Xerxes has the unit spam, Laissez-faire has the tech, and he has the eco for the moment. Finally, these things come in a decent sized group, and the T2 over here, the Urchivers, the Yenzings, they are just absolutely overwhelmed. They have to run away. There is not much they can do to stem this tide if they're told to move right on in. Which they kind of are. Okay. The blob is on the way up this direction. The Navy is saying hello, though the Navy is solid. There is a bunch of T2 in the mix of all that. And now is that Laissez-faire trying to push them back, or the Yenzings in support maybe? We need to try and gain some ground to get some breathing space. Wants to know what he's up against, seen some sacrificial interceptors over, that's all they could have been. Just to try and get some eyes on what he wants to shoot at, and he now knows there's a serious amount of Navy sitting on his doorstep. Left hand side is done for. The spam has it. The spam is through, and the spam is cleaning up. Not looking great. Right hand side, it is a mess of spam once again. What has happened to the T1 bombers? Well, they're back here. There's a bunch of T1 bombers ready to go. There's a bunch of torpedo bombers ready to go, and that's actually a strat. Right, Yenzings pushing on up this way, supported by... well, nothing really, because the frigates are dead. So Yenzings have been thrown into the mix here, try and get something done. Maybe they can take out some of the frigates. Maybe they can do some kind of damage. But it is an uphill battle against T2 Navy when you're like that. Alright, T1 bombers have been dispatched. A lot of T1 bombers have been dispatched. They're going to start blacking out those units, or trying to. There is a point defense back here, but it's not going to get a lot done. A couple of kills, but there's just so much on the ground coming this way. It's going to struggle to try and contain even half of it. T1 bomber is going to be a great godsend. They can help tidy up those units. In the middle though, the torpedo bombers went on out. They went for a foray, they went for a hunt, but they run into so many frigates, so much T1AA and cruisers and interceptors. They're going to get very, very little done in the middle of the map. Unfortunately for them, they are doomed. Over the side, and these T1 units have fallen back yet again. They have been held off. 9 kills that T2PD. It actually got some this time, but the left hand side is a shambles. All the factories are goners. Units all around the place, and T1 bombers are basically all they've got to try and fend that off. And hello. These are strats going around the outside. This could have been the air snipe. Laissez-faire, he has the eco, he doesn't have the units, he doesn't have the ground control. Like, he still has the eco, even though he's now blocked into this final little quarter of the map. He still has the eco and he's sending strats, but even as he's sending strats, Xerxes continuing with the T1 spam attempts. These guys have been sitting here for a very long time. How many has he got? 60 T1 bombers, so even as Laissez-faire was been using T1 bombers to kill off units and groups, I think we're going to see Xerxes about to do the same thing with all of these. Sitting up here ready to go, looking for a target. Scouts are going over. He's not going to find Laissez-faire though, because Laissez-faire is underwater. On the flip side, these strats here just need a target, and that would be a good target indeed. So he has got a shield beside him, which is going to assist his health. Finishes a T3 upgrade, so stealth with T3 upgrade is a solid commander. 15,000 health and sitting under a shield. We'll need a few more than that to actually kill him. Speaking of a few more, there's another strat bomber over there, and some torpedo bombers coming on in, but now is the major push into Laissez-faire's base. The units have arrived. They are all over the place, and it is time for something. I say time for something, or something could be sort of anything. I think Laissez-faire's gamble is going to be into these bombers. He has strat bombers lining up. He has torpedo bombers on the way. That is going to be his final gamble. Can he find Xerxes commander? Can he kill Xerxes commander? Well, the answer is maybe not. He doesn't know where the commander is, and now the strats are coming in. Does he know where Xerxes comm is? Well, these strats were coming in. They have now decided to change their mind and opt out. He needs some scouts. He needs to find where the comm is, and there we go. There's a T3 scout coming over there. He will be paying attention to this. Oh, that's unfortunate. The T1 bomber spam just happened to roll into the interceptors of Laissez-faire, who's not even paying attention. They're going somewhere else. They're going to protect all of this. They could have gone for all the bombers, which were basically ignored. And this is going to be the end of Laissez-faire's base. It is all going to be down to this air snipe. It is all going to be going down to that. The interceptors are up here for Xerxes. They are looking to protect this. T1 bombers are all sent against the T3 mass extractor. Maybe they should have gone for that. No idea. Strap bomber onto some engineers. That's a bored pilot. And there we go. I think that was a fix on Xerxes commander. He knows he's right there now. And in come the torpedo bombers. They're on the way. So are these strats. Is that a ground fire though? Because he can't get them underwater. Yes, it is. Ground fire on the commander, which is right there. So Laissez-faire has spotted Xerxes comm. Xerxes comm thinks, okay, maybe I can't come out of the water right now. But the SAMs are down. In come the torpedo bombers. Xerxes still in the water. The torpedo bombers are going for other things. They've lost their targeting. No. They lost their targeting. They don't know where he is. Oh no, that would have been the win. But the torpedo bombers, and laissez-faire sees it down there. He must have accidentally clicked attack with the torp bombers on one of the dams because they had lost their targeting. There was nothing to hit, and with Xerxes underwater, torpedo bombers don't have water vision. They cannot see where the commander is. He needed another scout to figure that out. Oh dear. That was the most unfortunate. The strats were definitely ground firing. He definitely picked the strats to ground fire. But the torpedo bombers, they just seem to fire at nothing. A lot of the torps just went sort of here, there and ever, and laissez-faire. And throws out the control K on that, because his base is in tatters, and he just could not find Xerxes' comm anymore.